How many times have you walked away from a conversation wondering, why did I let that slide? You nodded when you should have powerfully said no. You stayed silent when you knew you desperately needed to speak up. Not because you didn't know what was right or wrong, but because you were paralyzed by fear, afraid of being judged, of upsetting others, of being unfairly labeled as difficult. A lot of people live their entire lives like this, mistakenly thinking they're keeping the peace when fishing. In fact, they're tragically abandoning themselves. And worse, they falsely believe that this is the way to earn genuine respect. The truth is, you don't need to frantically stand out. You don't need to push yourself to be outwardly impressive or desperately prove anything to anyone. What you profoundly need is to stop trading your invaluable self-respect for fleeting, superficial approval. But to do that, you need a new frame of reference, a powerful way of living that makes you strong enough to stand tall without ever having to raise your voice. That's what Stoicism is. Stoicism doesn't ask you to become someone else. It teaches you to become fully, unapologetically yourself, clear, strong, and steady. In this exploration, you'll learn 7 essential lessons that will help you powerfully stop shrinking yourself. Whether it's in your most intimate relationships, at demanding work, or in a world that often relentlessly tramples over genuine kindness, this isn't about simply being tougher. It's about never having to pretend to dim your light for one more agonizing second. Ready? Let's begin. 1. Your worth isn't measured by applause. Cut the cord of external validation. Nothing makes us lose ourselves faster than living under the constant, scrutinizing gaze of others. Every time you wait for external praise to feel worthy, you hand over the reins of your inner world, your very autonomy, to someone else. Every time you meticulously adjust yourself just to please the fickle crowd, you surrender your spiritual independence, the very foundation of Stoic philosophy. Recognition might initially seem like a mental boost, a comforting validation, but it's really just a golden collar. Shiny, yes, but still a debilitating chain. Epictetus once wrote with piercing insight, "It is not a man's actions which disturb him, but his judgments about them." We don't suffer because of objective criticism. We suffer because we stubbornly attach our intrinsic self-worth to it. A harsh comment won't physically kill you, but the deep-seated belief that I need others' approval to feel at peace will keep you in profound bondage, chained to external opinions. The more you crave validation, the more easily manipulable you become, because no one is easier to control than someone desperately clinging to acceptance. Look around you. Social media has become an invisible battleground of curated perfection, where people meticulously perform for applause. Personal decisions are no longer genuinely guided by intuition or principle, but by frantically guessing what will people think. And the saddest part is, whether praised or not, we never truly feel enough because external standards constantly shift, always moving the goalposts. In that moment, you're no longer truly yourself. You're just a distorted reflection of what others expect you to be. No one genuinely wants to become a copy, yet chasing external recognition is often the fastest way to become one. Stoics don't fight public opinion with rebellious shouts. They simply, powerfully, don't let it guide them. When your actions genuinely come from deep inner conviction, you don't need an audience. Someone who authentically lives by their inner compass feels profoundly free even when misunderstood and stays unshakably steady even when isolated. There was a man named Nathan, once a financial consultant at a major firm. He didn't choose the job out of genuine passion, but because his parents were immensely proud to have a son in banking. Every day he dressed sharp, spoke properly, and worked with the right people, the very image of success. But inside, he felt profoundly hollow. One time, he passed on investing in a high-potential project, not because he genuinely doubted it, but because the boss doesn't like risk. Months later, the project soared under another team, achieving massive success. That's when the painful truth hit him. He'd spent so long living by others' instincts, he'd tragically forgotten how to trust his own. Not because he lacked skill, but because he'd never taken ownership of his own judgment, his own intuition. Nathan's suffering didn't come from external failure. It came from no longer start truly knowing who he was without the constant, flattering mirror of others' opinions, like a mirror that faithfully reflects everyone else, but never itself. If you saw yourself in that story, if your heart has ever sunk because someone didn't approve of you, then maybe it's time to rebuild your standards from within, from a solid, unbreakable foundation. Start by bravely refusing to justify what you know is right for you. When you confidently turn down something that doesn't align with your values, don't apologize. When you choose a path that looks strange or unconventional to others, walk it silently with quiet conviction. No elaborate explanations, no external permission needed. Train yourself to make choices based on one question only. Does this align with my values? Even if no one else agrees. The best practice is silence after each decision. No defense, no over-explaining. Because those who truly need to understand already do. And those who don't never will, no matter how much you say. The moment you decisively cut the cord tied to external validation, you're not just free, you're unshakable. And here's the profound paradox. The less you desperately seek external recognition, the more genuine respect you naturally earn. People are instinctively drawn to those who are self-possessed, who radiate an inner certainty. They admire those who don't need to be admired. So ask yourself, honestly, if no one knew you did it, would you still do it? If there were no applause, no praise, would you still dare to live by your deepest beliefs? You don't need permission to be real. You just need the profound courage to stop waiting for the nod, the external validation. And that's the precise moment you begin to genuinely grow. When you no longer need applause to show up, you start to radiate your own intrinsic energy, a powerful presence that's quiet but utterly impossible to ignore. And that's exactly what we'll explore in the next lesson. 2. True presence doesn't need attention to be felt. The gravity of stillness. The more desperate you are for attention, the easier you are to control. That's a hard truth to swallow. But Stoics don't care about fleeting comfort. They care about the unvarnished truth. When your self-worth hinges precariously on whether people notice you or applaud you, you've handed the very keys to your identity to the world. And here's the stark irony. The world isn't paying nearly as much attention to you as you frantically think. It's too busy with itself, consumed by its own dramas. In modern society, we're mistakenly taught that to be present means to be seen, and to be seen means to impress, to perform. People meticulously rehearse conversations to win the spotlight, artificially adjust their posture to catch glances, and carefully curate a version of themselves online that barely resembles their true reality. They don't walk into cafes for coffee, they go to be seen drinking coffee. They don't post to genuinely share, but to desperately prove, I exist and I'm worth noticing. But Stoic philosophy offers one brutal, piercing principle. Anything that needs an audience to exist isn't truly real, isn't truly authentic. Zeno of Citium, the brilliant founder of Stoicism, didn't preach in grand, ornate halls. He stood in the public square, meeting people where they were. He didn't fight for the microphone or climb onto a stage. He spoke as if reaching one person was profoundly enough, and a massive crowd was entirely unnecessary. And that's why his timeless words have endured for millennia, while the fleeting, popular voices of his era have faded into absolute silence. True presence doesn't demand instant recognition or immediate validation. It's quiet, but it lasts. There's a kind of person who enters a room and instantly brings stillness, a calm gravity, not because they force it, but because their energy naturally recalibrates the entire space. They don't desperately seek eye contact. They hold their own gaze so steadily, with such inner certainty, that others instinctively look back, drawn by that quiet strength. That's presence without performance. And that's why Steve Jobs could stand a Washington on stage, no music, no gimmicks, and simply say, just one line, one more thing. And the whole world held its breath. Not because he acted important, but because he didn't have to. What we fundamentally lack isn't the superficial skill to stand out, but the inner stillness to not need to. Have you noticed? People with real gravity, with genuine depth, rarely speak much. They listen more profoundly than they talk. They observe more keenly than they react. And when they do speak, the room quiets. Not because they're loud, but because their words are anchored in truth and intention. On the other hand, those who shout the most are often just desperately trying to silence the raging noise inside their own heads. And you can build that kind of powerful presence, not with flashy masterclass courses, but through small, consistent, real practices. When you enter a room, don't frantically scan to see who's looking at you. Instead, check your posture. Notice your breath. When you're in a conversation, don't focus on what impressive thing you'll say next. Look directly at the person and truly listen, absorbing their words. And when you speak, speak like there's nothing more you need to add. No disclaimers, no over-explaining. One clear sentence, one strong idea, and then stop. The less you need to be noticed, the more others genuinely notice. But it's no longer shallow attention. It's deep, profound respect. You don't explode like fleeting fireworks. You become a steady, consistent flame that warmly illuminates and comforts anyone who comes near. People may not line up to take your photo, but they'll remember you because you made them feel something real, something authentic, far beyond mere applause. You might wonder, but won't I seem invisible if I'm not performing? Fair question. But ask yourself this, do you want to spend your whole life frantically scrambling not to be forgotten? Or do you want enough inner worth, enough profound self-possession, that even if you're not widely remembered, your presence was still deeply meaningful to those you encountered? A sudden gust of wind grabs immediate attention, but a solid stone doesn't need to fly to have immense weight. What do you truly want to be? And if something in you just nodded quietly in agreement, don't keep that truth to yourself. Share it with a friend who still feels the desperate need to shout just to be seen. Because maybe today you're not just reclaiming your own gravity, you're helping someone else stop running in the exhausting, never-ending race for external validation. 3. Self-command, the foundation of dignity. Preserve your inner worth. Personal worth isn't something you need to frantically prove. It's something you must diligently preserve. And the one who preserves it isn't the smug, self-satisfied one, but the disciplined one. The one who dares to reject what's easy in order to hold on to what's right, to what's true. A Stoic doesn't find their fundamental value in the fleeting eyes of others, but in their unwavering ability to steer themselves, even amidst the clamor, the seductive temptations, or the profound loneliness. They don't mindlessly follow their feelings. They watch their emotions the way they'd watch a rainstorm, aware of its power, but not swept away by it. They don't need to shout, "I matter," because their profound self-control speaks louder than any words ever could. No one is born with inherent dignity. Dignity is meticulously built, brick by brick, in every conscious choice, every thoughtful reaction. When you don't let volatile emotions dictate your actions, when you step back from shallow, meaningless conversations, when you refuse to compromise your principles just to avoid temporary conflict, you're building a powerful inner command system. And that system must be reinforced daily through quiet, often invisible acts. Choosing to stay home and read a profound book instead of chasing a party you never genuinely wanted to attend. Not blindly accepting hollow compliments. Not playing dumb or minimizing your intelligence to ease someone else's insecurity. Not sacrificing your core principles to maintain a superficial, draining relationship. Not settling for a life that's easy, but ultimately empty of meaning. You can be polite, kind, and gentle. But if you don't lead yourself, life will inevitably drag you along. Everyone around you is living from some unmet need. They need a listener, a follower, a source of entertainment, or simply someone to tolerate their chaos. If you don't know who you truly are and why you're here, you'll inevitably become a tool for those needs and tragically call it living for others. But no one genuinely thanks you for losing yourself to make room for them. They just get used to your presence. They never truly notice how tired, how drained you've become. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be cold or detached. It asks you to be clear. You have the undeniable right to say no, to walk away, to step out of any space where you're no longer respected. Not out of pride, but out of profound responsibility for your own life, your own well-being. When Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself," he wasn't talking about textbook liberty. He meant the kind of profound freedom you forge from within. Freedom from merely reacting, from debilitating attachment, from suffocating dependency on external approval. The less you're swayed by what's outside, the more genuine power you hold to shape what's inside, and with it, the world around you. The problem is we've been mistakenly taught that self-love is selfish. We grew up believing we have to give until there's nothing left, not deserving anything in return. We confuse kindness with always saying yes, even when everything inside screams no. But you can't truly love others if you don't first profoundly respect yourself. You can't lead anyone effectively if you haven't learned to lead yourself. Self-love isn't an emotional indulgence. It's a moral responsibility. Are you living with true dignity, or just desperately trying to keep your place in someone else's life by shrinking yourself? Are you staying quiet to keep the peace, even though every silence cracks something vital inside you? Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you just sold off your own worth, simply because you didn't dare to speak your truth? You don't have to shout to reclaim your power. You just have to do one crucial thing. Refuse anything that makes you lose self-respect, not because you think you're better than others, but because you refuse to live beneath your own unshakable principles. And the most important part is this: it's something you can practice every single day. Write down 3 recent moments when you did something you didn't want to, just to avoid judgment. Then write 3 things you would do differently if you could go back, and courageously carry those choices into the next moment. You don't need to be perfect, just consistent. Over time, you'll become someone you no longer feel ashamed to face. You weren't born to please. You were born to live with purpose. And the path to self-mastery doesn't require applause, only unwavering honesty. If you're ready to live honestly, the next lesson is already waiting. 4. Your dignity is not a negotiation. Hold the line. You are not hurt because others inherently cross the line. You're hurt because you don't dare to hold that line for yourself. No one can truly trample your self-respect unless you open the door and invite them in. And you open it every single time you stay silent when being dismissed. Every time you force a false smile at an insult. Every time you continue a relationship, even though you deeply know you're being taken advantage of. Stoicism doesn't teach you to rigidly tense up to prove anything. It asks you to live as a person with unwavering principles, even when no one is watching. Compromising your self-respect rarely comes from one big dramatic decision. It insidiously leaks out in the tiniest, almost imperceptible things. Those so-called harmless jokes, the polite nods of false agreement, the moments you tell yourself, just let it go. It's not worth it, but it is worth it, because every time you do that, you're subconsciously teaching people how to treat you. You're writing an unspoken contract with the world. I'll endure this as long as you don't leave me. That's a subtle yet profound form of self-betrayal. Not loud, not bloody, but corrosively destructive from the inside out. You think you're keeping the peace, but in reality, you're quietly killing your dignity, gently, silently, and steadily. A Stoic doesn't stay silent to avoid trouble, nor do they confront others out of blind anger. They act for something far clearer. The truth deserves protection, even if it makes others uncomfortable. So why do so many smart, capable people fall into this trap? Because they confuse kindness with submission and genuine composure with self-erasure. They choose to desperately hold on to others, even if it means tragically letting go of themselves. But to Stoicism, that's an unacceptable price. A Stoic may accept inconvenience, loneliness, or being misunderstood, but they will never betray their inner values just to feel temporarily at peace. Listen to this story because you might be living like Daniel. He's a creative employee, calm, kind, and always willing to help. But over time, he became the one everyone dumped work on. Once a colleague used his idea in a presentation to their boss without credit. He knew, but he stayed quiet. He told himself, "It's fine, as long as the result is good." But after that, no one asked for his input anymore. They only came to him when they needed errands done or simple, menial tasks completed. The cost of being too agreeable was becoming invisible. One day, Daniel looked in the mirror and didn't recognize himself anymore. A man with hollow eyes, always on time, always proper, but always overshadowed, always in the background. And he painfully realized no one was holding him down. He had lowered his own head. Daniel didn't explode. He didn't confront anyone with anger. He simply started with one small yet revolutionary action. Stop pretending to agree. When someone said something that genuinely bothered him, he didn't shrug it off. When a coworker tried to shift work onto him, he calmly said, "I have other priorities." When his habitually late friend called, he didn't answer. He didn't need to get angry. He just needed to stop tolerating what was unacceptable. And that quiet action made a profound noise. The ones who used to take advantage of him backed away, their source of convenience gone. The ones who remained began to respect his boundaries, not because he demanded it, but because for the first time, he acted like someone who deserved respect. Are you living like Daniel? Are you in relationships where you have to shrink yourself to fit others' comfort zones? Are you afraid that if you speak up, you'll lose a false sense of peace? Then ask yourself again, is it really peace or the silent surrender of yourself? You don't need to rewrite your whole life in one go. Just sit down and list the places where you feel yourself getting smaller. The jokes that cross the line, the schedules you always bend to fit others, the moments you feel you need permission just to be yourself. Pick one situation, one person, and act. Don't reply to that draining message. Don't over-explain your choices. Don't apologize for protecting yourself. Dignity doesn't come from shouting. It comes from the quiet, firm boundaries you hold every single day, whether anyone applauds or not. When you live with clear boundaries, you don't become difficult. You become clear. And clarity is what this world sorely lacks. People who can't accept your limits are not people who should be close to you. And when they walk away, don't mourn it. You just cleared valuable space in your life for something authentic. If you followed this far, you're not just listening. You want to change. And that's something to be profoundly proud of. Comment below, what boundary will you reset today? I'd love to see your commitment, and don't miss what's next. Because the deeper we go, the closer we'll get to the heart of what it means to protect your worth in a world that's always trying to chip away at it. 5. Even silence has a cost when it hides your pain. Speak your truth. You don't need to raise your voice to earn respect, but you do need to be silent in a way that makes it undeniably clear someone has crossed a line. No one can diminish you unless you consciously bow your head. The trouble is, many people bow not because they feel small, but because they're afraid of losing temporary approval from others, and they mistakenly call that bowing maturity, tact, or keeping the peace. In reality, it's how you quietly hand others the right to rewrite your worth. One subtly demeaning joke that isn't funny, one judgmental glance, one passive-aggressive comment at a time. This isn't a story about self-worth being sold off for personal gain. It's something more subtle, more insidious. It's when you don't sell yourself short, but you also don't actively protect yourself. You passively let others use your dignity however they please. It's not that you want to compromise your principles. It's that you stop resisting. You stop standing up for yourself. You stop showing up fully. And just like that, you're not pushed down. You shrink on your own accord. Stoic philosophy doesn't teach you to dominate or outshine others. It teaches you to be whole, to be solid, to be complete within yourself. No one can truly belittle you if you live consistently by reason and principle. Marcus Aurelius said it best, "A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions." If your primary goal is comfort and external approval, then people will easily steer you with just a look or a casual word. But if your deepest goal is dignity and integrity, you'll be willing to trade surface-level peace for unshakable inner integrity. Because you understand any relationship that survives purely on pretense isn't one worth having, isn't one worth preserving. Not reacting doesn't always mean you're taking the high road. Sometimes it's simply paralysis disguised in moral language. Let's just be the bigger person. Let's not make a scene. But the more you say, let's just, the more you gradually stop being yourself. Until one day, you don't even notice you've twisted yourself into silence you inadvertently teaching people it's okay to do so? Look at Maya Angelou, the legendary poet, activist, and truth teller. She once famously said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." She didn't twist her words to keep a false peace. She didn't smile off injustice. In one powerful interview, she asked a guest to immediately leave her house after he told a racist story. Not out of blind rage, but out of profound clarity and unwavering principle. That moment didn't cost her a friend. It saved her from losing herself. Self-respect doesn't mean always going against others. It means not siding with anyone when it comes at the profound cost of yourself. And the irony is, when you stop desperately trying to be agreeable, you become genuinely magnetic, drawing in what truly belongs. Not someone who's easy to overlook or replace, but someone with clear edges, firm limits, and undeniable presence. People like that don't chase the spotlight. They are the center, not because they demand it, but because they never abandon themselves for fleeting approval. You don't have to storm into the room and demand respect, but you do need to walk in like someone who won't be dismissed, interrupted, or labeled difficult just for speaking the truth. And if someone walks out of your life because you're no longer easy to please, let them go. Their exit doesn't diminish your value. It returns to you the part of yourself you once gave away. Start with the smallest act. Next time someone mocks your opinion, don't laugh along. Don't pretend you didn't hear. Let your silence have weight, a profound stillness that commands respect. Don't fear being called too serious. People are often intimidated by those who know exactly where they stand because you can't lead them in circles of manipulation. And in that quiet, grounded resolve, you unlock a deeper level of dignity. Not when you're outwardly right, not when you're successful, but when you love yourself even in your unfinished form and still courageously refuse to be diminished. That's the next step, and maybe the hardest one. 6. Love yourself even in your unfinished form, the practice of self-compassion. If you find it hard to accept yourself as you are right now, maybe it's because you've swallowed a toxic belief that love must be earned, that you're only worthy of it once you're enough, smart enough, disciplined enough, tatty enough, accomplished enough. But doesn't that seem like a cruel trap? Everyone is a work in progress, so if self-love is reserved solely for the flawless, perfected version of you, then no one ever truly gets to have it. We grow up feeling perpetually indebted to ourselves, as if every flaw is undeniable proof that we don't deserve compassion or grace. Stoicism doesn't romanticize self-love with empty affirmations like, always love yourself. It gets straight to the point. You need a clear-eyed, honest relationship with yourself, especially when you're at your weakest, at your most vulnerable. Without it, you'll tragically abandon yourself when you need support the most. Don't get it wrong, Stoics never tell you to ignore your mistakes or weaknesses, but they powerfully believe that how you treat yourself in failure determines whether you'll have the strength, the resilience, to rise again. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his journals to praise himself. He wrote them to remember that even as an emperor, he was still just a man. And being human means always being under construction. No one understands this better than those constantly striving to be better. They never rest, never admit exhaustion, never feel truly enough. And you know what's worse? Progress. Something that should make them proud often leaves them feeling emptier. Because every time they reach a milestone, the finish line deceptively moves further away. Like a mouse frantically running in a spinning wheel, the harder they run, the more they feel left behind, inadequate. There's a man named Elijah, 42 years old, an entrepreneur with 3 failed startups behind him. He believed that unless he became wildly successful, any encouragement was just pity dressed as kindness. In his mind, an insistent voice kept saying, "You're not enough. Try harder." He never looked at what he'd survived, only at what he hadn't achieved. One night, after a crucial investment deal fell through at the last minute, he walked out of the office thinking, maybe I really am a failure. Maybe I should just give up. But in that profound moment, he remembered something his father, a simple mechanic, once told him, a line he never truly understood until then. A man's worth isn't in whether he wins, it's in whether he refuses to give up on himself after he's lost. Elijah came back, not to make a flashy comeback or aggressively prove anyone wrong, but simply to not abandon the most vital relationship he had, the one with himself. He began writing every night, "Today I didn't give up." Some days it was the literal truth. Some days it was just a fragile hope. But he wrote it, and over time the tone of his inner dialogue shifted. Less judgment, more compassion, less verdict, more observation. Elijah hasn't arrived at some perfect destination, but for the first time he doesn't feel like someone borrowing self-worth on credit. He's showing up authentically in his own life, not as someone being punished, but as someone patiently rebuilding trust with himself. Epictetus once said, "You are a soul carrying a corpse." His point, the body is just something you bear, but the soul is what you must diligently care for. And if you see your soul as inherently defective, then you're not just carrying a body, you're carrying a self-imposed sentence. And no one can walk strong and free when they are their own jailer. You don't need a fancy routine or an app reminder to begin this. Just pause each morning before stepping out the door and ask yourself, can I treat myself like a friend today? If the answer is yes, you're already laying a foundation strong enough to stand on your own. No rescue required. Psalm 139 verse 14 says, "I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made." Not because all your flaws are fixed, but because your very existence holds intrinsic value. And if that's true, then self-love isn't something to earn. It's something you need to be who you already are. You are not a broken project that needs to be criticized into perfection. You're a work in progress, and no one can truly thrive in a place where the blueprint keeps getting torn up by self-criticism. Keep the original, authentic design. You with your grit, your beautiful contradictions, your powerful ability to choose what's right even when you're not ready. These are reason enough to rise and keep going. And if you've started to see yourself with gentler, more compassionate eyes, then maybe you're ready for something even deeper. Sometimes the most precious thing isn't the destination. It's how you kept walking, relentlessly, even when there was no guarantee you'd ever get there. That's the final lesson. 7, the journey shapes you more than the outcome. Ever will, value the process. Accomplishments aren't what truly justify walking with your head held high. What genuinely frees you from ever having to lower yourself before anyone is the way you walked, even when there was no audience, no spotlight, no external recognition. While society ties your worth to the external destination titles, achievements, and likes, Stoicism powerfully points out that real value is forged in the way you courageously overcome yourself each day. No one needs to see you choose not to explode in anger, break a stubborn bad habit, or get back up after falling. Because it's exactly those quiet, unseen moments that build the kind of profound self-respect that can't be bargained away or diminished. People don't lower themselves because they've lost. They lower themselves when they lose honesty with who they truly are, just to win by someone else's superficial standards. If you still need constant comparison, still need someone else to constantly confirm your worth, then you've handed the power over your value to others. Every time you judge your day by what can be performed for an audience, you quietly diminish yourself because you're telling yourself, if no one sees it, it doesn't matter. But a Stoic doesn't live to be seen. A Stoic lives to be right with their principles, right with themselves. The modern world relentlessly urges you to constantly showcase yourself, but true dignity is built when no one's watching. A person can stand on a massive stage, be followed by millions, and still feel profoundly empty because deep down they've never made peace with themselves. Meanwhile, another person, unrecognized and unseen by the masses, walks steadily forward each day because they know they're moving in the right, authentic direction. And when you build inner strength from those quiet, consistent steps, you no longer need to prove anything to anyone. You become the proof. And that's not just a philosophy, it's a daily conscious choice. You can choose to sit down and write one more page, even if no one reads it. You can choose to say no, even if that means being misunderstood, because you know it goes against what you're fundamentally building within yourself. You can choose to do what's right, even when the easier path is tempting you, right in front of you. No applause, no audience. Because if you need someone to see it for it to matter, then you haven't really owned yourself. On the other hand, if you learn to ask, what was my silent win today? You'll start to see real progress. Not the kind you can photograph, hashtag, or proudly bring up in a networking event, but the kind that sinks deep into your core, the part no one can see and no one can steal. When you begin to profoundly value the journey, each decision, each moment of persistence, each time you override an impulse, you no longer depend on external achievements to feel worthy. And the irony is that's precisely when true achievement begins. The confidence you long for doesn't come from external applause. It comes from knowing you lived right, even when no one noticed. That's inner strength. That's dignity. That's a foundation that can't be broken when everything else falls apart. You don't need recognition to keep going. You need alignment with yourself. You don't need a finish line to know you're moving forward. You just need to look back and know, today I didn't betray the person I'm trying to become. When you truly value the journey, you stop being defined by the destination. You stop fearing being left behind, judged, or forgotten because you're no longer here to be remembered by others. You're here to live right, and that's something no one can ever take from you. No one. The lessons you just absorbed mark the final stop on today's journey. Not one meant to teach you how to toughen up, but to help you stop accepting that you have to shrink yourself just to survive. You weren't born to be judged by fleeting applause, and you don't need to dim your intrinsic light just to make others comfortable. The 7 Stoic lessons you've just explored aren't lofty theories. They're a powerful way of living for those who are tired of endlessly asking for permission to simply be themselves. From letting go of the desperate need for external validation to building an inner strength no one else can see. From fiercely protecting your self-respect to daring to love yourself even while you're still unfinished and imperfect. It all points to one undeniable truth. You don't need approval to have worth. You just need to stop betraying yourself. Maybe you've grown used to staying silent just to keep the peace, or downplaying yourself to be more likable. But if that's costing you your self-respect, it's time to stop. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to return to who you were always meant to be. Grounded, principled, and unshakable, even when the world fails to understand you. And if something in all of this felt like it was speaking directly to you, you're not alone. Right here, we're learning together how to stand tall, drawing profound strength from ancient wisdom, passed down by those who faced war, devastating loss, and profound isolation, but never ever gave up their dignity. If this message helped you see yourself more clearly, helped you feel stronger, hit like so others who've stood where you are can find it too. And if you're ready to keep going, to live honestly, deeply, and never bow your head again, subscribe. There's a long, challenging, but incredibly rewarding road ahead, and you deserve to walk it as your true, authentic self. No shrinking, no permission, no compromise.